Let's talk about a movie that starts as a story about two cello prodigies, but then turns into a twisted revenge nightmare involving jealousy, hallucinations, a severed hand. For the first half of the movie, you think you're watching one story, then the movie just totally hits a 180 and shows you what really happened. Welcome to another episode of Have You Ever Seen? The channel where we break down a variety of movies and TV shows in a cinematic storytelling format with original narration, commentary, and recreated visuals. If that's what you enjoy, then you're in the right place. So the movie opens up with Charlotte Wilmore. Charlotte used to be one of the most gifted cello students at an elite music academy called Bachoff. The school is basically treated like the top of the mountain for young musicians. If you make it there, you're not just talented, you're chosen. You're special. You're supposed to become perfect. But Charlotte's career ended early because she left the academy to take care of her sick mother. And when the movie starts, her mother dies. So now Charlotte is alone. And after years away from that world, she reaches back out to her former mentor, Anton. Anton is the head of Bachoff. On the surface, he seems polished, cultured, supportive. He talks like a man who only cares about greatness. But immediately, something about him feels off. Like every compliment has a threat hiding underneath it. Anton invites Charlotte to Shanghai, where Bachoff is holding an event to select a new student. And this is where Charlotte meets Lizzie Wells. Lizzie is everything Charlotte used to be. Young, brilliant, confident, celebrated. She is Anton's new star pupil. Basically, Charlotte's replacement. And at first, the movie makes it look like this is going to be a psychological rivalry story. The former prodigy meets the new prodigy. The old favorite meets the new favorite. And you can feel that tension immediately. But instead of turning into open jealousy, Charlotte and Lizzie actually hit it off. They go out together. They drink. They flirt. They talk about music, pressure, and the strange world that they both came from. And then that connection becomes romantic. For a moment, the movie almost tricks you into thinking this might be some type of love story. Two women who understand each other because nobody else understands the pressure they've lived under. But this is the perfection. So peace never lasts. The next morning, Lizzie is hungover, and Charlotte proceeds to give her ibuprofen. Then the two women leave the city and take a trip to China. And this is where the movie completely changes, because while they're on the bus, Lizzie starts getting sick. At first, it seems like it's just food poisoning. She's sweating, she's dizzy, she starts panicking. Then she starts vomiting. And in one of the movie's most infamous horror moments, Lizzie believes she's throwing up bugs. Everybody on the bus starts freaking out. The driver stops, the passengers are horrified, and Lizzie and Charlotte get kicked off the bus in the middle of nowhere. Now they're stranded on the side of the road. No hospital, no help, no one around. And Lizzie's condition keeps getting worse. She starts hallucinating bugs are under her skin now. She can feel them moving inside her arm. She's losing her mind. And Charlotte, who should just be trying to calm her down, suddenly pulls out a meat cleaver. That's when the movie goes from strange to horrifying, because Charlotte convinces Lizzie that the only way to stop what's happening is to cut off her own hand. And Lizzie does it. She cuts off the hand she needs to play cello. At this point, the movie wants you to believe Charlotte is the real villain. And honestly, it works, because the reveal is brutal. Charlotte didn't give Lizzie ibuprofen. She drugged her with pills from her dead mother's medication. The bugs were never real. The sickness, the panic, the hallucinations. Charlotte created it all. And she also brought the cleaver. So suddenly this looks like a revenge story about jealousy. Charlotte couldn't handle being replaced. So she destroyed Lizzie's gift. She took away the one thing that made Lizzie valuable to Bachoff. And that is already disturbing enough. But then the movie twists again. 3 weeks later, Lizzie returns to Bachoff. Her hand is gone. Her career is basically over. She tells Anton and his wife what happened. And at first, Anton seems sympathetic. But the second Lizzie can no longer perform at the level he expects, his warmth disappears. He turns cold. He basically rejects her. In that moment, it's important because Lizzie finally sees what Charlotte already knew. Anton's love was never love. It was ownership. As long as Lizzie was useful, she mattered. The moment she was broken, she became disposable. So Lizzie tracks down Charlotte and she attacks her and drags her back to Bachoff. And now the movie makes it look like Lizzie wants revenge. She brings Charlotte back to Anton like she's offering him a gift. Like, here's the woman who ruined my career. Punish her. But once Charlotte is back inside the academy, the real story starts coming out. Bachoff is not just a music school. It's a nightmare hiding behind wealth, prestige, and classical music. Anton and the adults around him have been abusing the students for years. And the academy's most talented students are forced to pay the price for perfection. That phrase becomes horrifying because now we understand the real meaning of the title. The perfection is not about music, it's about control. It's about powerful people convincing young artists that greatness requires suffering, that if they want to be special, they have to accept pain. Charlotte was one of Anton's victims. She escaped physically when she left to care for her mother, but mentally, she never fully escaped. And when she saw Lizzie becoming Anton's new prize student, she realized Lizzie was trapped in the same exact system. That's why Charlotte did something extreme, something horrifying, something unforgivable on the surface. She destroyed Lizzie's hand because she believed it was the only way to make Anton throw Lizzie away. And once Anton threw her away, Lizzie could finally see the truth. It's one of the movie's most morally complicated turns. Charlotte's actions are terrible, but her motivation is not simple jealousy. She was trying to free Lizzie from a monster. And now the movie transforms again because Charlotte and Lizzie are not enemies anymore. They are working together. The whole Lizzie captures Charlotte and brings her back situation is part of their plan. They know the only way to destroy Anton is to get inside Bachoff. So Lizzie pretends to still be loyal. Charlotte pretends to be helpless. And Anton believes he's back in control. But that's his biggest mistake. Because by this point, Charlotte and Lizzie have already started setting the trap. Anton forces Charlotte into the chapel. And the chapel is one of the most important locations in the movie. It is described as the perfect acoustic room, the sacred place where Bachoff's best students perform. But now that we know the truth, the chapel feels cursed. It is not a place of art anymore. It is a room where power was abused, where students were controlled, where Anton built his entire mythology of perfection. Charlotte is forced to play cello now, and Anton warns her that if she makes a mistake, someone else will suffer. That's how twisted his system is. He doesn't just demand perfection, he weaponizes it. Eventually, Charlotte does make a mistake, and Anton's associate prepared to punish her. But then suddenly, the men collapse because Lizzie and Charlotte actually poison them. That is the moment the movie reveals the two women were never really fighting. They were playing roles, and now the revenge begins. They go after Paloma next. Then they confront Anton, and Anton, even at the end, still believes he can overpower them. He still thinks the academy belongs to him. He still thinks these women are just damaged students he can control. But here's where he's wrong. A brutal fight breaks out. Anton enters Charlotte's arm, taking away her ability to play the way she once did. So now both women have lost part of themselves. Lizzie lost her hand, Charlotte loses her arm. But instead of letting that destroy them, the ending turns that damage into something symbolic. Sometime later, Anton is left helpless in the chapel. The same room where he once controlled everyone. The same room where students were forced to chase perfection at any cost. And Charlotte and Lizzie sit together with one cello. Lizzie uses her remaining hand. Charlotte uses hers. Separately, neither one can play the way they used to, but together they become one musician. And the final image is twisted, disturbing, and strangely poetic, because Anton dedicated his life to forcing students to become perfect. But in the end, he is forced to listen to two survivors create their own version of music. Not perfect, not clean, not controlled by him, but free. And that's what makes the perfection so wild. It starts as a classy psychological thriller, then becomes body horror, then it becomes a revenge story. Then it becomes a story about abuse, survival, and taking power back from people who used art as a weapon. And whether you think the movie is brilliant, ridiculous, disturbing, or all three at once, that's exactly why people still talk about it. Because the perfection is not designed to make you comfortable. It is designed to pull the rug out from under you over and over again, until the final note makes you realize that the whole movie was never really about becoming perfect. It was about surviving the people who demanded perfection from you. And that's going to wrap up this episode of Have You Ever Seen? If you enjoyed this video and want to help this channel grow, like and subscribe. And if there's a movie or TV show you'd like me to break down next, comment down below. And until next time, stay humble, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.